What's going on, wonderful people? This is Big Rob. Welcome to Big Rob's House of Entertainment and no Chinese food. Well, it is another beautiful Sunday afternoon, and you will notice I am not outside and I'm not in my truck. That's because I am on the road with work. Thank you. I'm so happy about that. But also, I walked outside a while ago, and I'll be honest with you, it was hotter than the devil's butt crack and twice as sweaty. So I came back in where the air conditioner works. So, no nature scenes this week on Big Rob's House of Entertainment and no Chinese food. Sorry. Maybe next week it won't be quite so terrible. But anyway, so a few weeks ago, several weeks ago, I had started doing some movie reviews at the back end of my show, and older movies, sometimes not so well known movies, and most of it was just stuff that I personally liked, and I wanted to make sure it didn't get lost. I wanted to tell everybody about them. I want you guys to hear what I talk about, and either say, hey, it sounds like a great movie, I'll go check it out, or wow, that sounds completely awful, I don't know why you wasted your time. There were a couple of those. I really didn't expect for that to go very far. I thought it was just going to be something I did a couple of times to kind of fill in some time when I couldn't think of anything else to talk about, because that's truthfully what it was about. But I've had a couple of people say that they really liked my reviews. So, you know what? They're going to happen again. So that's what this week is. I got another review for you. So this week, my review is the Gen 13 movie. And give you a little background on this. Gen 13 is a comic book. Originally was a Wildstorm title, which has now been sold over to DC, so it's technically a DC title now. I don't actually know if it's still running or if it's kind of in hiatus. Comic books start and stop all the time, so I really don't know. And I don't actually read comic books anymore. I just don't. I still like them, but I don't know. It's one of those things. They're too expensive, and I ain't got much time. Anyway, so Gen 13 was created back in the 90s by Jim Lee, and this movie is basically an adaptation, or pretty close adaptation, to the first few issues of the comic book. The voice work on this is pretty good. Some really big names. The main character, Caitlin Fairchild, was voiced by Alicia Witt. Alicia Witt has done, like everybody, tons and tons of voiceovers. You might know her. She was in the 1984 version of Dune. Was her first movie. She was in Urban Legends, which is one of the really very, very few horror movies that I have ever seen. Like, literally, you can count it on one severed hand how many I've watched, but I've seen that one, and she was in it, and she's really good. She's been on a ton of TV shows. She was in The Walking Dead. She was one of the first of Negan's followers that they encountered. She only lasted a couple episodes, but she's one of the first of the survivors, maybe? I don't know. It's been a long time since I watched Walking Dead. And she was also in Justified. If you have not seen Justified, pause this video, go to Hulu, and watch Justified. That is an amazing TV show. They're doing a revival series. I'm about 4 episodes into the new series, and still great stuff. But anyway, Colonel Lynch in the movie was voiced by John Delancey. John Delancey, of course, plays Q. In basically the only good thing in the Star Trek universe. Well, him and Ferengis. But he plays the enigmatic Q, the all-powerful being. He was also been, again, a lot of voiceover work. He was in Charmed, he was in Gamer, Crank, High Voltage, a couple episodes of Stargate SG-1. He's extremely prolific actor. You know his voice, you probably know his face, but he's a really good actor, really cool. Free Fall was voiced by Elizabeth Daily. Um, Elizabeth Daly was in, she played Dottie in Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Take just a moment here for a moment of silence for Paul Rubens, who just passed away. No more Pee Wee. Okay, well, that was enough of that. She also did voices for, let's see, Rugrats. I never really watched Rugrats. I don't know. She did voices for Powerpuff Girls, and she was, I think, Elastigirl in The Incredibles. So she's had a pretty great voiceover career too. She's done some TV, I think, but it looks like mostly voiceover stuff. Grunge was played by Flea, and if you think you know who Flea is because you're a music fan, you are correct. He is part of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is a pretty good band. And I'm not really a fan of their music, but they're pretty doggone good. He also has done a ton of voiceover work and has been in different movies and TV shows. He was in The Big Lebowski. He was in Back to the Future 2. And he was in 2 episodes of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Because I can tie anything back to Star Wars. And I just did. Anyway, he played Vex Makru, and I don't remember who that was. I'm going to have to go back and watch Obi-Wan Kenobi again. Goodie. Anyway, that was Flea, who played Grunge. Threshold was played by Mark Hamill. Again, Luke Skywalker. Boom, Star Wars again. Woo! Makes me happy. Makes you happy? Oh, we all happy. No, Mark Hamill, obviously most famous for playing Luke Skywalker. Ton of voiceover work. He played the Joker in Batman animated series and stuff. Played the Trickster in the old Flash TV show and in the new Flash TV show. A couple other voices. Cloris Leachman, who was just an absolute national treasure, did some voiceovers. But okay, so here's the gist of the story. So Caitlin Fairchild is just your average American college student, and she gets offered a scholarship from the National Security Committee to attend this private military college / training camp. I don't know, school. So she, for whatever reason, decides that that's a good idea, and she goes to the camp. It's out in the desert in the middle of the Southwest, I guess. I don't know. It's in the desert anyway, and she meets up with Grunge and Freefall, and I don't remember their real names. So Grunge and Freefall is the best I can remember. Anyway, the headmasters of the school, Matthew Callahan, and who is actually also Threshold, that is his real name, and Ivana Bayul, probably saying that wrong. I can't remember. Can't pronounce it anyway. Anyway, that's the headmasters of the school, and you find out that they are conducting some genetic experiments. The program is called Gen 13. The genetic experiments, they're basically trying to get, they have pulled these people who had genetic markers that make them ideal candidates to go gen active, in their words, and gain superpowers. So it's kind of like the X-Men, but more sciencey, I guess. I don't know. It was a pretty good comic book back when I read it, and it translates well to the animated movie. Colonel Lynch is a holdout from Gen 12. In other words, this is the 13th iteration. Anyway, and found out that he actually knew Fairchild's father. So anyway, So they're living their life. They're doing their military training, this, that, and the other. And one night, Fairchild wakes up sick. She goes looking for the infirmary, and instead of the infirmary, she finds a lab and starts piddling around on the computer looking for more information about her father, who she never knew. She's an orphan because superheroes are supposed to be orphans. Anyway, so Grunge and Freefall show up, and they're looking over her shoulder as you do, and a guard finds them, sounds the alarm, and guards come and attack them, and Fairchild beats the living snot out of everybody, and they start to get away. Fairchild actually gets away because she goes gen active, and she becomes this like massive Titan, muscle bound Titan, kind of like the Hulk, but instead of a big green angry guy, it's a really big, sexy redheaded girl. It's much easier on the eyes. Anyway, so Grunge and Freefall managed to get captured instead of getting away with Fairchild. So Fairchild gets out in the desert, and she manages to steal a mech suit and goes back into the school military base to try and rescue Grunge and Freefall. Meanwhile, Ivana and Threshold are holding Grunge and Freefall hostage. They're questioning them. They think that they are spies for General Lynch, and they're just questioning them and torturing them. General bad guyery. Yeah, sounds good. Anyway, an alarm sounds that General Lynch and an armada has started attacking the base, so Ivana leaves to go deal with that. Threshold reveals at this point that he is actually psychic, and he knows that they've been telling the truth the whole time, that they're not spies, but he's just going to go ahead and torture them anyway because he wants them to go gen active. And it's basically, you either go gen active or you die because you're no good to me. Alright, so go. So Grunge goes gen active, and he gets basically the powers of absorbing man, a little bit more so. Basically, he takes on whatever he touches. He can mimic that. It's I don't remember what they called it in the element mimicry or technology mimicry. I don't know. Anyway, basically, if he touches steel, he becomes steel himself. If he touches rock, he becomes rock-like. Okay. So, anyway, he does that. He breaks out of the torture racks, beats Threshold, helps break Freefall out. They kiss because they've been will they won't they this whole thing. I don't know. Anyway, and so Grunge, Freefall, and Fairchild now, they get out and they're trying to get away, and so they convince one of the bad guy helicopter pilots to fly them off of this base in a helicopter so they can get away. They get up in the air and get part of the way out, and Threshold destroys the helicopter. And so everybody's falling, and then all of a sudden they realize that they're not falling as fast as they could and not dying on the rocks below because Freefall has went inactive, and she can control gravity, so she floats everybody gently down to the ground. Threshold goes on his, villain monologue for a little bit, and then talks about how corrupt the government is and everything. Okay, I get it, makes sense to me, but you're still not supposed to overthrow people. Whatever. Anyway, so they fight for a little bit. They end up beating Threshold. Colonel Lynch arrives and starts giving them some background information, and you find out that Threshold and Fairchild are actually half siblings. That their mom was trying to run away from the NSC and trying to get the kids away and keep them safe. The NSC ended up killing the mom and the dad of Fairchild's. No, not Fairchild's dad. Callahan's dad. Anyway, the NSC killed them and got Alex, But Lynch managed to get Caitlin away, which is why Caitlin wasn't there where Alex was already. So while this is going on, Ivana's realized that everything has fallen apart, so she sets to self-destruct for the military base, and boom, 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 and then all of a sudden there's a rock slide coming towards where Fairchild and everybody's talking, and so Threshold sacrifices himself to hold the rocks and stuff at bay so that everybody else can get away. And so he gets apparently killed in that. And then the next thing you see, Lynch is talking to Fairchild, Grunch, and Freefall. They're in a cargo plane, and he's like, look, this stuff ain't never going to end. You guys, might as well accept that. I'll be more than happy to train you on how to use your powers, and, So they accept, and they decide, hey, okay, so we're gonna learn to fight bad guys. Anyway, it's a pretty good origin story for a superhero team. It is not made for children. It is not a family-friendly movie, which is funny because it's produced by Disney. But there's a lot of gore, a lot of violence, a lot of blood, a lot of cheese. Some scantily clad women, not really nudity because it's a cartoon, but boobs jiggling and that kind of thing. It is definitely not for younglings, which again is pretty funny because Disney under Buena Vista is who produced it. So the background on this is actually more interesting to me almost than the story itself. So Jim Lee, who's an amazing comic book artist, writer, everything, had a company called Wildstorm. And back in the 90s, comic books had kind of fallen away. Everybody was going broke. And so Jim Lee was trying to sell his company. Well, at the same time, Disney approached him with an interest in creating a movie based on Gen 13. And he started in with them. In 1999, Jim Lee sold Wildstorm to DC Comics, which was a division of AOL Time Warner. The film was actually finished, but Disney, Buena Vista Disney, didn't want to release a movie for their competition, AOL Time Warner. And so they shelved it. This movie never was officially released in the United States. Still hasn't been. It was shown at least one Wizard World. I'm not sure if it was the full version or maybe just partial. I'm not real sure because I wasn't there. But that was in around 1998, 99, 2000 range. And it did see some releases in Asia and Europe. The way I saw it is on YouTube. Some user has uploaded what I can only imagine is a European release. So it's not an official release. So legally you're not supposed to watch it. But if you search for it, there's a good chance that you can watch it too if you want. It's only like an hour and a half long. It's not very long, but it's pretty good. If you enjoyed comic bookery and X-Men and violence, it's not bad at all. And it's real close to the actual book, so might be something you might be interested in. That's it for me for this week, really. I don't have anything else. One small piece of news. If you haven't already seen, I know some of y'all may have, but if you haven't already seen, I did jump on the TikTok. Mostly I'm just putting my shorts that I already had here on YouTube over there, but I am recording some new stuff that's over there. Some new stuff goes to both, some new stuff's just going to go to YouTube. I'm just trying something out. But anyway, you can hunt me down over there. I'm at Big Rob's house on the TikTok as well, if you're interested. If you're not, no big deal. Want to give a quick shout out to my brothers Hassel and Monster over the Nerdy Man Room Show and Hassel's Reviews. They're on the YouTube, they're on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, all that fun stuff. I'll put their information up right there, but definitely go give them a look-see. They're always up to something interesting. And also want to give a great big shout out to the Clady clan at excuse me, I'm sorry, I had something caught in my throat. I want to give a big shout out to the Clady clan over in Tifton, Georgia, at the Zone Collectables at 305 Main Street. They're also the Zone Collectables on Facebook and the Zone Collectables at gmail.com. And also their new multimedia, Spotlight Media GA. It's the cow getting beamed up by the UFO. I still love that artwork. I always will, probably. But they've got a Roku channel and a Fire channel, and you can actually check out Hassel and Monster on those channels as well as on the YouTube. They'll always be on the YouTube, but they're going to be on those channels too, which is kind of neat. But last but not least is me, is Big Rob. Don't forget about me. Don't forget about my channel. If you enjoy what you're seeing, be sure to like the video. If you really enjoy what you're seeing, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Leave me a comment or a question. Let me know what you're thinking about, and I'll definitely see if I can't respond to it, or completely ignore it if I want to. But leave me. I'll definitely read it. Hit the bell to let you know whenever I drop something new, which I do my best to drop something new every week here. Sometimes it's movie reviews, sometimes it's stories from the road, sometimes I get to unbox a new lightsaber. Those are a lot of fun, but I don't get to do that every week, but I do it when I can. But I always like to just entertain, and hopefully after 20 minutes of listening to me talk, you're feeling a little bit better about yourself. I know I'm feeling a little better about myself. Let's be happy. But tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell everybody about the show, and join me next time. And until then, may the force be with you.